Hello, hello. Welcome back to Bishop Chapter. I can talk actually normally in this one because it's not like 3 a.m. So that's great. The last one was a bit long to the point where Instagram just couldn't deal with it. So it's just on YouTube. And to be honest, I don't see that changing. I don't have enough time to chuck it in Premiere and render it out in 2 parts. Because ideally that's what I would have done otherwise, but I just don't have the time. So we're going to just jump into this one. We're going to look at potentially, hopefully, getting 2 puzzles in one, and hopefully this doesn't go on for an hour. So we'll cut the chit chat and go straight into NUN. So here we are, the old pipe. Got panels, and we've got these components. So these are both. I think both of them have code. So let's jump in. So this is the gear. We talked about the interaction system, thankfully, so I don't need to go through that again. But when it's interacted with, it freezes play, and it sets the respective valve name. This is NUN valve 6, obviously they're numbered 1 through 8. If that's true, if the valve is activated, then it deactivates the valve. So essentially, you need to point the gear at the correct symbol and then confirm it by turning the valve. But if it's in the correct position and the valve has been turned and then the gear is turned again, this just disables the valve, so it's unconfirmed. That's what that's doing. And then if it's not confirmed yet, and then the gear is in place, if the gears are if the gears interacted with and it's already in place, then it's set out of place, and then vice versa, it's set back in place. And then it plays the animation of the gear turning, nice little delay, and then a pause. And then when we jump into the valve blueprint, it's valve 6, freezes play again, does the animation of the valve, then it checks is the gear in place. If it's true, then the valve is activated. If it's false, the valve is deactivated. It's very simple, very easy stuff. That's generally the setup of a lot of elements of these puzzles. It's just toggling. Is this in place? Then do this. Is this not in place? Then do this. And then we head over to the old NUN cabin, where I think the majority of the code is in this final wheel. Right, great. So the various 8 pipes are very simple to set up. Each one's got exactly the same runner code, but it just specifies gear 2, valve 2, gear 3, valve 3, depending on which pipe it is. The tricky part was in setting up which symbol was correct on which side, because some of them are different. So all I've done to solve this is in the variables in the player character blueprint. So you got NUN gear in place 1 through 8 and NUN valve activated 1 through 8. All I've done is some of these are set to start on false and some of them are set to start on true. And I had to work out which ones to set as which, depending on, so each one starts pointing at the left symbol, but the left one is only the correct symbol half the time. When it is correct, it just needs to be confirmed with the valve. When it's incorrect, players need to turn to point at the right one and then confirm. So that's what the variables are doing. It wasn't too complicated, I just had to write it down. Anyway, the NUN wheel. So when we interact, is the puzzle complete? I can't remember where that is defined. It's coming from the player character, so it's in here somewhere. Oh dear lord. this is not going to be another video of me lost and looking around if I can help it. So I won't spend much time looking for it. If I can find it, then cool. If I cannot, then I cannot. Search noon. Gear place. Player statue noon. What was it called? It was called Puzzle Complete. Complete? Noon Puzzle Complete. But is it in the event graph? Or it's just showing me the variable? Oh god, who even knows? Oh, I am a dumb bum. Okay, it's defined here. Sorry, it's just, I've had a lot going on. Right, anyway. Okay. Is the noon puzzle complete? No. Then we freeze play for 3 seconds. We show the wheel turning. And then if all of these are true, so if all of the valves have been activated, you saw the string of code to determine that. But if all 8 are activated, and that is true, then the first thing we do is set the puzzle as complete. That is where it's defined. And then we open the safe doors. So the safe is, it's pitch black so you can't see, it's down here. And it's got these nice little round slidey doors, and inside is the noon trophy. So the player can then grab that. The puzzle's done. And it also drops the key. So the key is invisible until you complete the noon puzzle, and then the key appears. So I've shown you that key in the Aten puzzle. It's the one that drops out of here and appears on the ground there. It's always there, it's just invisible, and then completing noon sets it to visible. And then we got the lake. The lake just moves down. Oh no, it gets destroyed. So when the noon puzzle is complete, we just destroy the lake. I did have it where it moves down. So there's still a few puddles left. But then it interfered with the maze in MEDJED. You can see how far the lake goes out. If I move that down to hold in some water, then it's just, yeah, there's a massive stretch of water chopping through the maze. So I couldn't have that. Not one bit. Yeah, the last piece I guess would be this thing here. So it's tiny in here. There we go. That was the wrong side. So it all kind of links as one model. There's audio in there as well. That's like the humming sound. And there's a second mesh, which is the glowing version of the light. It's like slightly bigger than the non-glowing version, and it's always invisible until I close the thing. Until the noon puzzle is complete, and then we do this once. Set a little delay, just so it's not instant. And we set the visibility of the big glowing light, and then we play the audio. And the audio has a radius around it, so that when the player leaves the radius, the audio fades, and it just gives a sense of depth. Close all this, close all this. Great. Noon's quite a simple one, actually. I think that's it. That's the end of noon. It drops the key, which is needed for Aten. And I was going to have, so the collectibles in the game, the chess pieces in the comic pages, there's only one of each in the game at the moment. I just didn't get a chance to model the other pieces, and I didn't have enough time to place everything around. But I did think it would be cool if players could reset NUN and do it again. And if they go around the map and reset all the pipes again, then this time a chess piece would fall out. I did toy around with a lot of the chess pieces, or mainly the ones that weren't pawns, having quite elaborate ways to get them. So obviously the first bishop is in the Anubis room on the shelf between the books. Very easy to find. The reason it's so easy is because it's meant to teach you the mechanics of the chess pieces. Because the chessboard is in the room, naturally the player would interact with it, and if they'd found the very obviously placed bishop piece, then it would introduce them to the idea that there are chess pieces and they can be brought back here and put on this board. And who knows what will happen once they're all there, essentially. But then there would be elaborate ways to get, like, the king, the queen, the other bishop, the rooks, the knights, and then the pawns would just be hidden, so just placed randomly around the map. I was going to be quite nasty with some of these placements. For example, over here, I was going to put a pawn right in this little corner here, right in this nook, and it's just covered in shadow, so you'd need to go in with a torch and shine the torch at it to be able to see in there. But that's the idea, essentially, is that the pawns would be hidden like that, and then the other pieces would have long-winded ways of unlocking them. Kind of like mini puzzles in a way, because, you know, it's a puzzle game. It's got 6 main puzzles. It's got a 7th ending puzzle, and I thought it'd be cool if each of the what are they called? The noteworthy chess pieces that weren't pawns, if each of those had little mini puzzles to get as well. Just more puzzles in the game makes a puzzle game better. Or at least, yeah. Or at least that's, yeah. That's what I think. You may disagree. But that's cool. Anyway, that was NUN. Let's head over to old Thoth. I'll probably just do these in the order that I covered them in the commentaries. The order of the puzzles is not really set by any means. I mean, Anubis has to be done first, and the gate puzzle Khonsu has to be done last. And everything in between is kind of fair game. Obviously, you need to do NUN in order to get the key to do Aten. And you need to do Thoth in order to get the king ring to do Khonsu. But having the king ring early makes it easier to do Ben and MEDJED, the maze, because you can just teleport. Like, the maze is easy. You could put a beacon down. Put a beacon down right here, run through, pick up the statue, teleport back, put it on the thing, run out, get the next one, teleport back, put it on the thing. Yeah, it's very cheaty. And then same with Ben. When you fall off, it's very annoying to have to walk all the way around and back up the wall. So if you just put a beacon, like right here, whenever you fall, you just teleport back up and carry on. It doesn't make the puzzle itself easier to do, it just cuts out all the walking. Yeah, so those are the puzzles you can do after getting the king ring. Because in order to upgrade the king ring to the point where you can teleport, the Aten system needs to be up. And to get the Aten system up, you need to do Aten. And to get in Aten, you need to do NUN to get the key. So it only really leaves these two. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. It's just kind of my train of thought at the moment. But anyway, let's go into old Thoth. So start with the board, because the board is kind of like the centerpiece. It's quite meaty, this one. So there's a set number on the board, custom event. This is irrelevant. That was another system I was trying out before that didn't really happen. So there is a variable in the player character, Thoth book selected. It's just an integer, so just a whole number, 0 to 10. There are 9 books that must be selected, 9 specific books. And if you've seen the Thoth video, you know that these books are determined by a code pertaining to the referencing system and how that's organized. So I won't go into that again. I will just show you that each number, so each time you pick up a book, or select a book, sorry, it increases the Thoth book selected by 1. And when you select the wrong book, it resets it to 0. And when it's set as 0, it just clears the slots on the board. So the clear slots is defined up here. All this does is set each slot to blank. So I'll show you the model in here. So you can see that each bit of text is defined there. Where was the? I can't remember where I defined the text. Maybe it was in here. We'll figure it out. Oh yeah, it's here. What am I doing? And here. Great. So on the event tick, we are constantly setting the slot text to whatever the variable is telling it to in the string. So we've got the string here, which is just text, and it's converting that. Oh, sorry, it's text. No, it's a string that's being converted to whatever the pink one was. Just text, yeah. String to text. And then that's setting the slot 1 text on the event tick, so every delta second. And it's doing that for each of the slots. So while that's going, it means that we can just update this, and then this system will naturally update what's set there. So all we need to worry about is updating this. And that's essentially what the clear slots thing is doing. So when it sets this to be blank, the event tick picks it up and it immediately sets that slot to be blank. And likewise with this one, when one of the correct books is selected, it sets the 1. And when 2 of the correct books are selected, it sets the 2 to appear. And that goes all the way up to 9. And then to ensure that you only select 9 books, and to reset it if you select a 10th, if the value equals 10, we clear slots. And somewhere I think I also defined that it resets it to 0, but I can't remember where that is. I think it's the button. We'll see. Cool. So let's move on to this big button in the middle. So when you interact with the button, freeze play, animate the button being pressed, and then if Thoth is not already complete and all correct books are selected, then we will set Thoth as complete. And when Thoth is complete, oh yes, we're in book Thoth. Oh, this is where it is. Cool. So this is just interacting with the correct Thoth books. So, okay, let's just continue along the train. So the Thoth complete from the last blueprint, where all of this is true, it will set Thoth as complete, and it will animate the bookcase door to open. So that's that one. So this is the blueprint for a Thoth book, which is really, really tiny. It's right there. I can't really go any closer to it without going through it. But there it is. It's bigger in the game. Right, so it sets Thoth. No, it's asks if Thoth is complete. And if it's not, then it checks if the number of books selected are less than or equal to 9. And then if it is less than or equal to, it adds 1 and sets that as the new value for this. And we know that if that were to hit 10, then it would reset, it would clear slots and reset the puzzle. And then likewise here, if it exceeds 9, sorry, so if it goes over 9 and hits 10, then it would reset to 0. And then after this is, after a number is added and the new value is set for the Thoth book selected, we will get the book ID, which I believe is down here. So we have a sort of data table, or a, what was it called? What's ST? Structure? I think it's a structure. So yeah, there's a Thoth book structure, and it picks from that a section, a row, and a number in the way that the referencing system is divided up. And then it will tell it that that was what book was selected. So if I take you to this thing, so each book here has a value. So we know, or if you've seen the Thoth video, then you know that this is book A11, this is book A21, book A31, book A32, book A33, yeah, here it is. Cool. So when you click on this, this is where it's defined. So we've got it's a structure somewhere. Oh, let me find it. I'm so unorganized. Thoth array? No, it's not this. Why did I think it was that? Could it be in... Thoth? Let's search ST. Come on. ST Thoth books. It was in Environment Models Thoth, which is where I thought it was, unfortunately. Anyway, so this is where it's defined. Book name, book index section, book index row, book index number. And then we've got the default values, which is just A11, the first book. And so that's what this is telling it. So when you interact with the book, it gets the book ID. That's only if it's not the 10th book that you've selected. And then it sets which book is selected based on the info from the structure. It's very it's hard to explain, but hopefully you understand. So you can see as I select the books, these values down here change. A23, A24, A25, A510, and you got pick a random one over here. E310, this one, Q34. So every single one of these books has a value that pertains to the referencing system. And when a book is selected, the board counts it as a book that's been selected and then highlights the two. And then if we jump back into the, I believe it's the player character, there is a Thoth section up here running off the event tick. So yeah, here. So this determines what Thoth book is selected. So every time a book is selected, it tells this thing where it is, and then we've got these string variables here. Is it B34? If that is true, then tell it that book 1 is selected. Is it E510? If that is true, tell it book 2 is selected. This all works just because of the way that the structure converts all the text into this. It just happens to lay it out exactly like this. So if you've seen the Thoth video, you know that all these codes are findable on documents and various things in the game. And this just tells it which books to say are selected at which times. So yeah, while you can select any random book and it'll show up on the scoreboard as being a selection, these little ticks in the background will only activate if you select the right books. And then once all of these have been checked and that's all confirmed, there's another variable called all Thoth books selected, which triggers the where is it? Which triggers the door to open. Thoth complete. That was referenced somewhere, wasn't it? Ah, here we go. There you go. All correct books selected. And then that is what triggers Thoth to complete. So you've seen the inner workings of how that's actually decided. I could do it cleaning this up loads. No. Yeah, I won't get carried away with this. I'll be here forever. Anyway, so that is then what triggers Thoth to complete, and also what triggers it to fail. We've covered. Then in this room, you've seen this one. Got the Thoth trophy. When you pick it up, it tells the game you have the Thoth trophy. Player has statue Thoth. Cool, cool. Got another interactable document. And then we've got the trusty king ring. Just sets a variable saying king ring collected, which doesn't really enrich your life in any way until you upgrade it, which in the previous episode I covered what that does and how that works. Okay, that's Thoth. We're half an hour in, so dare I say we might do a third puzzle. Let me just quickly check what puzzle was next. What did we do next? Anubis, NUN, Thoth. We did Ben. No, it was MEDJED. Can never see that one because of the color. Okay, MEDJED. I think we can do that. Let's head down. You've heard this music, so I won't let you hear it now. Probably the important part is this pedestal here, the MEDJED console. Let's close all the Thoth stuff. Okay. Right, let's get into the meat here. There's an event tick, seeing if the player has placed the east, north, south, west statues, and if they are all on there, then the MEDJED cage will lift. If I get the all the cinematics, where are we? MEDJED cage lift. Let me bring that on so you can see. There we go. That's what that looks like. It's very simple. Let's play actually. There we go. And then inside is the trophy, which was selected. Edit blueprint. Yeah, just like every other trophy, it just says the player has it and then destroys it, so it can't be picked up again. Yeah, great. So we've got the console stuff continued. So when you interact with the console, it checks if the player is holding these statues. And for example, if the east is held, if that is true, then it sets the visibility of MEDJED statuette 1. So let me show you what I mean by that. This is a lot bigger than the book. So the cage is not part of this because it had to be animated. There we go. Visibility. Each statue is placed on a different slot. And then, yeah, basically it's just organized so that if you're holding the east and you interact with the console, then it'll set the visibility. You're no longer holding it, but it is placed. And this factors in further down the line. And likewise with the north, statuette 2 set visibility, same chain, statuette 3 and 4, and it should. Oh, there you go. That's why. Okay, so I thought it was just going to be in an endless loop of true, but it sets it so that it's not held, so that the next time you interact, when it gets to this node, you're no longer holding this because it's placed, and so it'll go down the false, and it'll check to see if you have the north instead. And it doesn't matter which order you pick them up, once they're placed, it'll run this. But they always place. So, for example, if you have all 4 and you interact with the console, it will always place them in this order. That's a lot of mess for not much action, really. So we'll go in and we'll look at these things here. So it's a disco light, aptly named. There's a bit more meat to this one. Right, so on event begin play, we set a 2.5 second timer called flashing, and that basically sets the lights to flash, and it's looping. So every 2.5 seconds it'll toggle to being off or being on. This is all the casting, just to get references to all the statues and reference to the player character. It's basically casting in every blueprint in this game. And then also as part of the actor, there's a trigger box. So we've got the spotlight up here, and we've got a box underneath. And so when the player overlaps the box, if the lights are on, which I think is defined in here, yeah. So we'll tangent quickly and go into the where I wrote flashing here. It's a function as part of this blueprint. So it checks if the lights are on. If they are on, then we will set the spotlight to invisible, set the box to invisible, and tell it that lights are off. And then if the lights are not on, we'll obviously turn the light on, we'll set the box to visible, and we'll set the lights on. The box being visible doesn't mean it's visible in the game, it just means that it's player can affect the box, because obviously if the light is off and the box is still there, we don't want the player to be able to be picked up inside the box, because it'll fail the holding of the statue. So yeah, if the lights are on, if that is true, and the player gets caught in the box, then MEDJED is reset, and it runs a little MEDJED reset here, which is defined just underneath. So let's have a look at that. Ignore all the strips coming from player character, I just had to use this a lot. So if MEDJED is reset, if the player is holding the east statue, then they no longer are, and the visibility of it in its original location in the maze is reset. So when the player first picks up a statue, it's added to their inventory, and then the statue is rendered invisible in the spot where you found it. It's not actually gone. And so what this does is just sets it to visible again and tells the game you no longer hold it. So if you interacted with the console now, it wouldn't detect that you're holding anything, and so nothing would be placed on it. So you need to go all the way back to where you found the E statue and pick it up again, and ideally not get caught in the spotlight this time around. And then we've got the same line of code then for each of the respective statues. So after that is run, there's a 1 second delay, and then the MEDJED reset is turned off. It's just a quick reset process. We don't want the game to constantly think that the game is resetting. So that's that. That's these lights, and it's the same thing, just copied and pasted, or duplicated rather, is what Unreal uses, and placed around. They are in the doorways for now, so it's quite easy to tell when a light could potentially be appearing where you're standing, because if you're in a doorway, then yeah, you're going to be a bit screwed. There's a version of this level that I wanted to do where there are lights in the centers of the rooms as well, or like one here, and one there, and one here, and they would be on when the doorway ones are off. So when you enter a room, no matter what section of the flashing loop you're on, there is always going to be a light on somewhere. There's always a red light. It just makes it a little bit harder, because for now the maze is quite easy. All you have to do is stand just a little bit off the doorway and wait. You can see the trigger box isn't huge. It's just for the center of the lights, the sort of focused whiter part. You can very well stand on the edge here and not get caught. So let's find one of the statues, so we can look at that. There is one up here in this room to the right. Cool. There's also a maze map. This is the west statue. Very simple code in here. When it's interacted with, it tells the variable the player character has that the statue is being held, that it's true, and then it sets the statue to be invisible. So this seems to disappear, and then the game thinks you are holding it. And then if you get caught in this light, we've seen the code then that runs the reset. It's a very simple toggling system again, like with NUN, like with THOTH. Cool. So that's how MEDJED works. The idea then that once all 4 statues are placed, the cage will lift, you can grab the trophy, and then you can come back and place the trophy on the consoles. I'll call it there for this video, just because we're on 38 minutes, and Instagram doesn't like long videos. So hopefully I can put this one on there, and then the other one could just stay on YouTube. But yeah, next we will be tackling Ben and Aten, which I think will take a fair bit of time compared to these last ones. But if there's room in that video to do Khonsu and the King Ring, then we will. And then that'll make this a 3-part blueprint series, which will wrap it up quite nicely. So I'm going to go off and record that one next. So thanks for tuning into Bishop Chapter. We are very, very near the end, and yeah, there's not much left to do, to be honest. So we'll see how this goes. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Bye.